All right, today we're diving into a truly wild story, one that comes to us from retired Major Tarek. It's about how one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world was taken down by something no military planner could ever see coming. So just picture this, a state-of-the-art F-16 Fighting Falcon, a masterpiece of engineering, sitting on a high-security military base. What in the world could bring it down just moments after takeoff? You're probably thinking, okay, enemy action, right? Or maybe some kind of catastrophic mechanical failure. Well, the truth was a whole lot stranger. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you have all the logical suspects: an enemy attack, a massive system failure, even pilot error. The things you actually prepare for. And on the other side, a wild boar. Yes, you heard me right, a wild boar. To even begin to understand how that's possible, we've got to go back to that night. So let's rewind. We're going to see this whole thing play out through the eyes of the one and only person who witnessed the entire event from start to finish, a young officer at the time, Lieutenant Tariq. The date is December 17th, 1987. We're at the Sargodha Air Base in Pakistan. Now, this isn't just any airbase. It's a critical facility, home to some of the most advanced aircraft on the planet. And it is a bitterly cold winter night. As Major Tariq tells it, the night was just perfectly calm. He's a young lieutenant, fresh out of training, standing watch in his anti-aircraft gun pit, looking out over the quiet runway. The sky was clear, the air was still. You know that kind of deep cold where everything just seems frozen and silent? That was the scene. Total peace. And then, bam, in an instant, that peace is just shattered. A massive, blinding flash of light rips across the darkness. Something is very, very wrong. Lieutenant Tariq looks up, and his heart just drops. He knows that silhouette instantly. It's an F-16, but it's not flying. It's a fireball spiraling out of control, screaming towards the ground right there on the base. But in the middle of all that horror, with this jet literally falling from the sky, he sees it. One small sign of hope. A single parachute, backlit by the flames. The pilot made it out. He's alive. And Tariq knows he needs to act, and act fast. So you'd think the story couldn't get any crazier, right? Well, you'd be wrong. What happens next, when Lieutenant Tariq tries to report this catastrophe, is almost as unbelievable as the crash itself. He gets on the phone to headquarters, adrenaline just pumping. He's direct, he's urgent. He reports, an F-16 has been shot down on the airbase. He's expecting alarms, sirens, a full-blown emergency response. But instead of panic, he gets a chuckle. The guy on the other end of the line casually says, "We know, we're watching Iron Eagle in the mess." They thought he was making a joke, quoting a line from the popular fighter jet movie they were all watching at dinner. You just can't make this stuff up. Tariq is completely stunned. He realizes he has to cut through the confusion, and fast. He demands to be put through to his commanding officer. And the shift in his tone, that seriousness, it makes it crystal clear this is not a movie night prank. This is a real-life emergency. The mood on the other end of the line changes instantly. Come the next morning, the crash site is a hive of activity. Investigators are everywhere. The good news is, the pilot is safe. The bad news is, a multi-million-dollar aircraft is now a pile of smoking metal. The question on everyone's mind is simple. How? The answer they found was more shocking than anyone could have possibly imagined. So, here it is, the bizarre chain of events. The F-16 is screaming down the runway, gaining speed for takeoff. Right at that moment, a wild boar darts out of the jungle that lines the airfield. At that velocity, the jet's engine intake is basically a giant vacuum cleaner. It just ingested the animal. The impact was instant and absolutely catastrophic. The engine completely failed. The jet had only just lifted off the ground, and it immediately turned into a very expensive, very heavy glider. The pilot had only seconds to react and punch out. Now, for retired Major Tariq, this was never just some bizarre story to tell at parties. It was a brush with a much, much larger disaster. It was an incident that taught him some pretty profound lessons about luck, about technology, and about the sheer, wild unpredictability of life. He often reflects on this. That burning jet fell just short of his position. We're talking a few feet. A few feet closer, and this would be a tragedy, not an anecdote. And it wasn't just his life at stake, it's where his gun position was that was so incredibly critical. You see, his gun pit was stationed right next to a huge ammunition cache. If that burning F-16 had hit it, the heat would have almost certainly cooked off the ammo. That would have triggered a massive explosion, setting off a chain reaction that could have wiped out hangars, other aircraft, and cost who knows how many lives. They were spared by a matter of feet. An experience like that, it leaves a mark. For him, it really came down to three key takeaways. First, life is just completely unpredictable. You never know what's coming. Second, staying calm and doing your job when everything is going wrong is absolutely critical. And finally, it's a stark reminder of how fragile life is, and how sometimes a little bit of dumb luck is the only thing separating a strange story from a devastating tragedy. Ultimately, this whole story shows that you can have the most advanced technology in the world, the most detailed, brilliant plans, but you can never, ever account for the wild and the unforeseen.